Hello and welcome to Stylish Chats with Creatives. Today on the podcast, I'm speaking to Chris Wright. Chris is a freelance retoucher and based in Crewe. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
It's so nice to chat to another retoucher as well, because I find retouching sheer magic. Like, I cannot fathom how you guys do it. And us stylists are like, I'm sure retouch can liquefy that a little bit, or like, oh, I'm sure that can be helped in retouch if we're given a product that's like completely wonky or whatever and we've tried our best. And then you guys just go and make it look absolutely mint. And I can't get my head around it. So to me, retouchers are magicians.
Digital magicians.
Yes, yeah.
Sometimes it's a bad thing though, because people who are not quite in the industry just think, oh, you can just go and press that button and just do all this magic stuff, right? And you're like, no, that's not quite possible, really.
I do think when I first started styling, I was asking photographers and retouchers what's your limits? Because obviously I get limited on the product and how nice it looks, or say a bit of furniture or what have you. So it is good to learn each other within the team's limits, because
of course,
if I send you something patterned that's like an absolute pig, you're going to be like, no, go and do your job, you lazy so-and-so.
Yeah.
Oh, so how did you get into retouching?
Right, do you want the short story or the long story?
We've got time. Let's go for the long story.
So it's a weird one, really, because I guess it all started I never really went into retouching. It was more, I went into the photography side, and then I just kind of fell into retouching. And photography started in kind of a weird way as well. I'd say I was around 20. I wasn't creative at all. I wasn't really doing any photography. I wasn't trying to be a photographer or anything. And was out with a group of friends one day, and he brings his DSLR out. I think it was a Nikon or something. And I'd never seen one before. And I was just like, whoa, what is this? I was super impressed by it. And I'm a proper tech nerd anyway. So it proper grabbed me. And then I used it for a bit and I was hooked. So then from then I got a Pentax camera for that Christmas. And then it just kind of spiraled from there. And I was just just teaching myself what to do. And just taking horrible pictures that were amazing. I remember the first shot I ever took. I was in my mum and dad's bathroom, just pointing the camera outside because there was a sunset happening. And I didn't know how to blend exposures and stuff. So it was just the sunset. Everything else was black. And I was just this is mint. Just put it on Facebook. I was so proud of it and everything. And then, just continued to grow and stuff. Started experimenting with photographing with friends and stuff, doing portrait things and stuff. Then started working with models just on trade for print and things. And I met this model who I think I'd done 2 or 3 shoots for her, and she was just asking what I was up to and stuff with work. And I just said oh, I'm trying to get into the photography side now, but I don't really know how. And luckily, she knew someone who was looking for another photographer at their company. So I was like, oh yeah, put my name forward and stuff. Got an interview and got the job. So that was good, but there was 2 bad points with it. One, it was in Stoke-on-Trent, and I lived in Wigan at the time, so that's probably about an hour and a half drive on a good day, but coming home 2.5 hours, which you just do not want. 2.5 hours stuck in traffic. It was grim. And then the other thing was, throughout the interview, she kept telling me how the current photographer who was there, who was going to be training me, they just weren't getting on with him. They were saying he was being really awkward and stuff. And I was like, all right. So the first day, I'm who the hell am I going to meet here? Is it just going to be really awkward and stuff? Ended up meeting him. He was absolutely fine. I later found out that it was actually the company that was bad, and he was all right. So we got on really well. He taught me a lot of studio stuff like lighting and things, and then he taught me a bit of retouching as well. And about a week and a half into it, he then texted me and he went, "I'm not coming in anymore. I've left." And I'm like, "Oh wow, okay." So I've just been dropped into the deep end here, like only a week and a half experience of like working in a studio, and I was just left to do all the photography, all the styling, all the retouching, and I was just like, "Oh, cool."
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was definitely in the deep end there.
That's like a baptism of fire if ever I've heard one.
It was. So I did that for about another 3 weeks. I got to the end of the month and I was like, I think I'm just going to get my pay and leave here. Because the way it was run, like no one really knew what they was doing, and upper management just kept getting involved. Like it was quite a small company. Then they worked with like real animal fur, which was not nice at all. Like you used to get in your eyes and like make you like, I don't know, it was just weird. So I remember the Friday night I got paid at midnight, and as soon as the money went into the bank, I sent them a text message just saying I'm not coming in, it's not for me. Like, and that was it. I just couldn't go back there anymore. It's like too much. And then luckily, because I had like I was still doing like personal stuff in the background, and then I had a little bit of work that I could take from there as a portfolio. I got another job in another studio quite close to me. And that was where the retouching started, because I was mainly hired as a retoucher, but photography as well. And again, I kind of just had to learn everything while I was there. The retoucher who was there, she was going on maternity leave, so she taught me like a little bit for about 2 weeks. And after that, I was just like left on my own. And I was there for about a year. I learned a lot there, to be fair. It was all right company, to be honest. Learned a lot about like how a proper studio works. Learned the retouching. Learned how e-com like just works as a whole type thing. So that was good. But then a year in, the company started like the owners were just spending money everywhere, like on their own personal stuff like houses and stuff, and the company started struggling. And basically I got made redundant at Christmas. So I was like, cool. And I just started looking back and I was like, do you know what? Like, I can do this myself. Like, why can I not just like work from home and just do this? Like, do what I'm doing, but for multiple companies. So that was when I just decided then I'm going to go freelance. So, because I'd already lost my job anyway, so I thought might as well take the risk. And that was 8 years ago now, so it worked.
Oh my God, what a journey.
Such a mad journey. Like, and everything I know is self-taught. I've never been to uni, never been to college with it. Like I say, I was never creative in the beginning. So it's just all from like YouTube and what the little bits that people have taught me here and there.
Yeah, I think YouTube is such an undervalued resource, actually, because you can learn so much on there. And we're quite lucky in the sense that you don't really pay for it. Okay, you might have to watch an advert or something, but like you can learn so much for free. And
it's such a good free resource, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
And especially and now there's so much more compared to what I had back 8 years ago. There's so much content out there. It's great. Like you can, I feel like it sometimes negates the need to go to college and university now, because you can learn so much yourself.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who I've spoken to who have been to uni, I feel like a third really loved it. A third went because they thought it was the best thing to do and actually came out of it like, weren't really sure. And then the third haven't been. So like, I do think there's so many different ways into creative jobs. And because of the internet, like you say, because YouTube and like people sharing on TikTok and Instagram and everywhere else, I actually think I never went to uni, and I actually think like I'm still making a decent income doing something creative without having got like, I don't know how much it is now, like 40 grand a year or something stupid.
Yeah, it's crazy debt, isn't it? Like, it's mad.
Yeah. And like, I think there's lots of different ways to go about doing a creative role. And I feel nobody looks down on you for having not gone to university in creative worlds. They're kind of like, cool, you figured it out. That means that you'll be able to figure this out. Let me throw this puzzle to you.
I don't think I've ever been asked by anyone, whether it was like a freelance gig or when it was full time. I don't think I've ever been asked, did you go and study at uni or whatever? They just looked at my portfolio and that was good enough then. Like, so I think your portfolio is the big thing. That speaks for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, massively. I was telling you today that my portfolio website went down today, and like, holy shit. And this is what I think some freelancers or some creatives wanting to be freelance forget, that actually we wear about 60 hats.
Yeah.
And then you have to be like on top of your social media because you're your own marketing manager, and then you're your own like you've got to chase invoices, you've got to find the work, and then on top of that you still actually got to go to work or do the job as well.
Yeah. It's crazy. My partner, whenever I'm not working, she just basically calls me part-time because like she thinks I'm just sat around doing nothing. But realistically, like you said, we're doing all the marketing and the accounting and all that sort of stuff, like web design.
Oh yeah. I thank God for my friend who figured it out, because my head was just blown off today. And like, that's another nice thing about the freelance community, actually, of creatives. You can put an Instagram story out or like a LinkedIn post or text your friends and somebody will help you out.
Yeah,
and
they will, yeah.
Like, I love that about the Northwest and that creative community.
Yeah. To be fair, that's something that I've only recently started figuring out. Because on LinkedIn, I used to just look at LinkedIn and think, that's only for my work. I can only put my work on there and that's it. And to be fair, like, I never shared much retouching work on there because like a lot of it's just e-com most of the time. So I don't know, I just didn't feel proud enough to like put it on there. But the past like 12 months, I've started to just not care and just put whatever on there, and it does really well. And then you meet people, and then I think that's how we met. Maybe I'm not quite sure how we met, but the more I put out there, the more people I seem to connect with. So it's definitely something I want to do more of this year.
Yeah, I've definitely found I've been scheduling my LinkedIn and my Instagram as well for work. And of course, for the podcast, it just makes it easier. But then last year, I started to do just pictures of my work. But then me being me, I forgot to ask photographers for my work for like the last 18 months. So I've almost like run out of work. To show. So now I'm like having to change it again. And then I was like, actually, people might want to know like and see a bit more of my personality because I'm quite bubbly, quite chatty. So then I don't know about you, I started doing the same on LinkedIn, and I get a way better response than just whacking a piece of my work up and just being quite robotic, like, hey, I've got availability.
Yeah.
You know.
I definitely find that, because that's all I ever used to do. I used to be like, whenever I was quiet, I'd be like, oh, I'm available at this point. Get in touch if you need me or whatever. And you don't get any engagement from it, really. You might get like a couple of likes and stuff, but I'm just sharing like bits of photography or like whatever I'm doing. And it seems to get so much more engagement because people just start chatting. I think people now like to get to know you rather than your work. It's all about like building a brand and all that bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was, I think I overheard somebody, they forgot my name, right, in a studio. And I overheard somebody call me the chatty tattooed one. So I was like, great, I'm rolling with this because everybody knows that I'm quite talkative. I can shut up. I'm quite talkative and I've got loads of tattoos. So I was like, I'm just rolling with it. And like, I'd kind of neglected that part on my social media as well, of like, just kind of being me.
Yeah.
And like, I'm getting way more engagement with it. And like, yeah, the same. Like, people want you for you and your, I hate to say vibes on set, but yeah, like.
That's exactly what they want though, isn't it? Like, it's cringe, but that's what they want, yeah?
Yeah.
I guess like, especially on LinkedIn, they're seeing so many other people's work, and it's just, I think it all just blends into one at the end of the day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas if you share something a bit more personal and then it's like got questions in it or whatever, and they can engage with it, it seems to get more people chatting.
Yeah, I think so. I think my my off the cuff thing the other day, because I'll admit today to the listeners that I am recording in the bathroom and I'm sat in the bath. So I posted a little picture up of that on my LinkedIn the other day and on my Chats with Creators podcast Instagram, and the engagement on it, people are like, this is so funny, and I'm like, well, but I've also solved a problem. So yeah. I think it kind of gives people the idea, yes, it's a funny story, but you're more than capable of solving problems and engaging in different ways. So yeah, it's interesting. On that note as well, I noticed that you started a Discord chat. Now I'm not familiar with Discord. I think my husband is because he's a gamer, but I'm not fully, I don't fully understand it. So can you explain to me what it is?
Yeah, so it did originate from gaming, and it just was a bit of a place to just have your friends and have chat rooms when you're in games and stuff. But it's been growing over the years, and it's become more of a community thing. The simplest way I can describe it is it's like a big WhatsApp group.
Oh, cool!
But there's it can have tons of people in it. We've got about 100 people in there now. No one talks all at once, so it's not crazy. But in there, you can have different sections. So we've got one that's advice or just general chat, and then we've got a rant area if someone's annoyed. You've got a pesky client or whatever. And I get that it can put people off because people don't know what it is, and it's just another app to check, which I understand, we've got too many apps to check these days. But I just feel if it was a WhatsApp group, it wouldn't have the same functionality. And I think if there was 20 people having a conversation, you'd just get annoyed by all the notifications that were going off. It'd just be crazy. So it's good. And you can also do, you can do video calls in there. You can have voice channels up in there. So, if people just want to get into a room and they want to have a chat about a problem that they've got or whatever, they can go in there, and it's just good for that.
It sounds really good, and I think you're right on WhatsApp. We've got a big family one, and no shade, but it is consistently on mute, and I'll just look at it when I get a minute. So
I feel like everyone who's in the group just has it on mute.
Oh yeah. Otherwise, sometimes you come to it and you're like, oh, I'm reading a novel. What is going on?
I guess that can be a problem especially if you go in that Discord, if you've not been in for a couple of days, all of a sudden there's just these essays, and you're just whoa, I'm never going to catch up with this.
Yeah.
But because you can separate it negates that a little bit. you can just be oh, I'll go into the advice section and maybe just see if anyone wants any advice or whatever. But yeah, it's good for that.
Yeah, it sounds really good. It's I was kind of seeing how it was going before I jumped in, because like you say, I've got loads of social media to keep up with. Yeah. And but it might be quite helpful for newbie freelancers as well to get information and help from us who are more established.
Yeah. So there's I'd say there's a few people in there who have only just started within the past year or so, and there's been a few people that have been struggling as well, because obviously the last year has been shit.
Dog shit, mate. Dog shit.
Yeah, dog shit. And I think it's helping them because obviously if they're on their own, you just end up thinking it's you, don't you? You just think, oh, my work's bad, no one wants to hire me, blah, blah, blah. But I think because they can come in there, ask for advice and just say am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? Whatever. Or just asking the simple question, is everyone else finding it quite quiet? And when everyone says yeah, it makes you feel a little bit better then, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think I was similar to you. I had a quiet 23, and I think in October I posted on my LinkedIn, and I was in tears posting it, and I'm quite happy to be open about it. And I was I think I need a full-time job. And freelancers came out and they were please don't, we really like working with you, there's just no work on and it's not just you. And you're oh, thank God, you feel validated that it isn't just you. for me, I'm like, oh God, at least I didn't put my foot in my mouth or something last time I was on set,
Yeah.
or, you know,
Yeah.
and I think freelancing is a fucking wild roller coaster. And
It is.
like, that's what I love about podcasting and able to chat to other freelancers who are also in this wild roller coaster too.
It's just good to know that we're all in like the same experience, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
because I was the same. Like 23 for me was 23 was worse than the COVID times for me. Like, which is wild. And January to about May was like really dead for me. Like, to the point of where I was looking for full-time jobs. I nearly went and got a job as a camper van builder.
Oh, really?
Of all things, yeah. Because I've built my own camper van, and I just started thinking, do you know what? I'm going to do this as a job instead.
That's amazing.
So I nearly took that, but the only reason I didn't is it was too far. It was a bit too far away, and the money wasn't great, to be fair.
Yeah.
And then in June, I was talking to like an ecom fashion place about a retouching job. The money was all right, to be fair, and it wasn't too far away. And I nearly was about to take it. And then a really big gig came through. And I was like, I just went with my gut. I was like, do you know what? I'll take the gig instead, the freelance gig, and give it another few months. And luckily, after that, I was like quite steady. So I'm glad I didn't go full time now. But yeah, last year was hard, I think, for a lot of us.
Yeah, and I think you're not the only one who has done that, applied for a job, and then a big job's come in. It's like the universe is taking the fucking piss. And you're like, are you serious? You're testing me and my savings, and could this job not have come in like 3 weeks prior?
Yeah. It's always so annoying as well, because as soon as you get that booking and you're quite full for like, say, a month, then everyone comes in and says, are you free? And you're like, oh God, why can't it just be like spread out over the year?
Yeah. And like in August last year, maybe August, September, July, August, September, I could have split myself in 3. Yeah. I was the same as you. I was quiet at the beginning of the year, then October went quiet. And all this time as well, I'd cancelled a holiday with my husband to work because work was so busy in the September. Yeah. And when work was quiet, his work was busy. And I was like, you are taking the piss, universe. Like, come on.
It's just never right for us, is it?
No, we're always moaning. I think it's part of being British, though. But yeah, it's really difficult to explain. I don't know if your partner's similar. Like, I'll try and explain to my husband, like, so this job's moved, and he's like, I cannot cope with how your diary's working. Like, he's like, just don't tell me. Just tell me where you are on the morning of wherever you're going.
For me, I'm finding at the moment that nothing moves around really, but everything's like really short notice. So for this month, for instance, at the beginning of this month, I don't think I had any bookings. And I was like, oh God, it's going to be a really quiet January. And then at the end of like every Friday I get the next week fully booked. And it's just like, why can you not just tell me at the beginning? So at least I know that the month's booked out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you must have found this. Years ago, I used to get booked out like 2-3 months in advance. And now it's like, I'm lucky. I think the bookings I've got for next week, I got booked like 2 weeks ago. And that's probably like the longest I get is like 3 weeks notice now.
Very similar, yeah.
And like people phone me like, oh, can you do tomorrow? And I'm like, no. Like I'm busy, or like, you know, I need the same as you. I'd prefer a little bit more notice, but I think it's down to products not arriving and, you know, things like that. Like, I don't know.
It could be budgets as well, I suppose. Like, I don't know, everything's a bit tight. They're just waiting until they really need a freelancer or whatever. But it's been so strange, hasn't it? Yeah,
it's been really weird. And I feel like you saying about your earnings being less after COVID, mine definitely have been. And I think we're not the only ones whose earnings have dropped so dramatically.
Yeah.
I think I saw a LinkedIn post recently that it was like a photographer just saying like his last 5 years or whatever. And the 2 years prior to COVID, it's in America. So like earning like 6 figures, COVID hit, it halved. And then 21, 22, it like halved again. And it's just like, if those figures are true, it's madness, isn't it?
Yeah, that is mad. Yeah, I just can't really like pinpoint as to why though. Like you say, it could be like because products are a bit harder to get hold of now and they've gone expensive as well, and or whether it's just because there's so many layoffs happening as well, like in companies. So I don't know whether just no one's got budgets anymore and everyone's doing big cutbacks.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going on.
No, and sometimes I don't know whether this is slightly conspiracy theorist maybe, but sometimes it's like bigger than our industry. It's almost like governmental level, like it's just absolutely fuck all to do with us, but like it still affects us anyway. Some big cheese has decided to do something and it affects everyone.
I suppose the only bright side is if all these layoffs are happening, hopefully like things will get busy again and they'll all of a sudden need people fast, and that's where freelancers will come in. So
yeah,
I do believe that this year is going to be a bit better. I think it's going to be a stronger year for us, but let's wait and see, I suppose.
Yeah, I feel the same though. I feel like literally 2024, I feel like it's just got a different energy to it.
Yeah.
And I've
spoke to other people that think the same, to be honest.
It's just, I feel like a bit more positive, a bit more like stuff's happening. You're hearing little like, you know, people are filming again. People are like shooting more. It seems to be like a little kind of bubbles of work popping up, which is nice. Like, and I'm glad we've all survived. I always think like, oh, you've made it through the worst period, so you can do it again.
Hopefully nothing worse comes.
Oh, I hope not as well. I don't think I'd cope. I'd end up like fully grey at that point, I think.
It's a struggle, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is.
But then, like you say, as soon as we get busy, we're like, oh, I'm too busy. I don't want this anymore.
Yeah. And then like the last few days, because this is why I wanted like today off, but I've worked like 2 weekends, like done like work both during the week as well, and wanted like a couple of days off. And then like today just happened and I was like, oh, so I'm not off then. I'm just like sorting other admin shite out.
Oh, we never get a day off.
No. And then it's like my other half's got the next 2 days off and I'm like, I can chill with you, but I have a phone call here, FaceTime here, that like it's all like little meetings, you know, it's fine. But you're like, I'd like a nice couple of days off. Although I say that and then I'll like cry because it's quiet.
Literally, after 2 days of being quiet, you like go in full panic mode, don't you? And you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to get work again.
And then I find myself rereading messages or emails and I'm like, oh God, was I a dick?
I do that all the time. I'm so glad you said that. I thought I was the only person who did that.
No, and then I'm like, I think back to like being on set the last time and I'm like, oh God, like, and you panic. And then I'm like, this is actually not helping me. I need to just get outside, walk the dog, chill out. It's fine. But yeah, it's so funny. Oh God. Do you
struggle in it?
Yeah, massively. I see that you're quite outdoorsy as well.
I am, yeah. My Instagram is so different to like my work, isn't it? Like, I try. That's the only Instagram I ever share or anything. So if I share it and they know I'm a retoucher and they go there and they just see all of my photography, it's like it's just a totally different vibe, isn't it? But that's like my me time. That's like where I'll go and chill out and stuff, and that's where I can like regather my thoughts and things. If I could make money from it, I would, but I don't think you can, but it's like very, very small amounts, like prints on magazines, YouTube, I suppose. But yeah, it's a good pastime.
Yeah, and I think going back to you self-building a camper van, that's interesting too. My other half like really wants to build his own van. Obviously, like they're expensive at the minute and stuff. But how did Did you just like watch a load of YouTube and you were like, I'm going to do this? Or how did you go about it? Yeah,
so I wanted one for a while. Before COVID and everything, I've always wanted one. And then, because we went through COVID and we couldn't go out and things like that, I just thought, sod it, I'm just gonna buy one. So I ended up buying this like tatty old work van. And yeah, I just self-taught again off YouTube. I think it took me about 12 months to like finish it. Mainly just because I was watching all these YouTube videos, and every time I watched it, I got a new idea, and I just didn't know where to go with it. And it's still not fully finished, to be fair. The only thing it doesn't have is it doesn't have like a proper like fold out bed.
Yeah.
So I'm about to strip it apart soon and like rebuild it all again. But one thing I regret is I regret not like filming it and stuff and like showing it to people. So I'm going to try and do that this year. Like, hopefully I can like get some recording in or something. But I'd say just get one. If he wants one, just do it.
Yeah, he's been watching so much and watching, is it Will's Wheels on YouTube?
I'm not sure. I don't think I've heard of that one.
And that guy is so funny. So like he'll drill stuff and then he'll be like, oh shit, dropped a tool, and like he's just really funny. And like he made it like seem quite accessible and quite like it. I don't think it's an easy thing to do by any means, but he made it seem easier to manage and to do.
I'd say it's easier than what people think. Because like, I don't know, because in mine, I've not got like any gas or anything like that. I've got, for the electrics, they do these like massive battery banks. Have you seen the Jackeries and stuff that they do now?
Yeah.
I've got one of them, what's called like an EcoFlow, and just the lights run off that, and you can charge your laptop, phone, whatever off it. And then for cooking, I just have a camping grill. And then you just use the gas bottles then. So it really, really simplifies like building it then. And it was all built out of this like aluminium frame called aluminium extrusion, I think it is. And you measure everything up that you want, order it online to like the measurements that you need. It all comes and it's basically like Meccano. It like all bolts together and it's like super simple. And it's like really lightweight then. And then you just like put a wooden fascia on the front of that and you're good to go then.
That sounds so good. Because like
it's really, really good. Like I definitely recommend doing it.
Yeah, it sounds so good because we've actually borrowed a transporter from Mark, and that was really good. But because me and Nath are so tall, we constantly had to have the pop top open. Like we were like, actually, we need something like slightly bigger. So us going away for a couple of days in that kind of like it solidified that we really enjoyed it, and also like kind of made us think, okay, we need to think differently because we're slightly taller and we need to think about this, and this. And like, because this is what I said to my other half, like we just need to go out and like hire loads and that are all different to kind of get loads of ideas for what we want. Because I think that's the best way to do the research really is to actually
of course,
go live in them.
Yeah. I'd recommend going looking at the Sprinter or the Crafter then. I know they're quite big, so parking them is a bit of an issue, but they're really tall inside, and like people put like showers in there, and it's crazy.
Yeah,
like you can just live in it then.
Yeah,
like, I would love one of them, but mine's a similar size to the Transporter. Mine's a Mercedes Vito.
Yeah,
and it's big enough for us, but I can still drive around in it and go to shops in it, and it's easy to park. Whereas I think them Crafters are a bit too big for that.
Yeah,
like, they're huge.
I think like I felt like such a badass driving the Transporter. I feel like I've driven my dad's Crafter before, so I am aware they are massive. And my other half's job, he's a lorry driver, so he's like Crafter's like fine. But I think I'd feel like a right badass driving a Crafter.
Yeah,
just cruising around, being like, "Oh yeah."
I've turned into a bad driver because of that van. I've just turned into the typical van driver. I drive it around as if it's like a little hatchback. It's bad.
It is like, it's funny how you, like when I then got back in my car, I felt like I was still driving something huge.
Yeah.
And like, by all means, a Transporter isn't huge, but compared to my car, and I couldn't like, I said to my other half, I was like, so do you feel like weird when you step out of the lorry into your Mini? And he's like, no, they're two completely different things. And I'm like, yeah, but I'd still feel like I was driving a huge vehicle in the Mini, just like subconsciously, like, oh.
Thinking you've got a trailer behind
yeah. Oh, I could.
Yeah, hopefully I get some more time to rebuild that this year. And then hopefully I can put some content out there to help everyone.
Yeah, do, because I think like I when I'm looking at YouTube, we like watching like people build stuff or people going on city breaks and
Yeah, yeah,
so like people will watch it. And I think
yeah,
as creatives, we try and be perfect all the time and put out perfect content and perfect everything when actually like sometimes
yeah.
you've just got to go for it.
Yeah, that's been my problem for a long time. Like I always like overthink things, and I am like, I'll compare myself to like other YouTubers or whatever, and they've put in like this high quality content out, and I'm like, right, well, if it's not like that, I don't want to put it out because what's the point?
Yeah.
But I need to like come away from that. But it's hard, isn't it? Like you always compare yourself to like other content out there.
Yeah, massively. And I think a friend of mine just said when I was discussing about setting up a podcast like over a year ago, he was like, do you know what, Charlotte? You've just got to get on and do it. And it
Yeah,
will get better as you evolve and as you get more used
yeah,
to it and everything else. And like, don't get me wrong, I still probably need a jingle. I need some other bits. And I probably need to film it, although not everybody needs to see me sat in the bathtub, like fully clothed.
maybe this is the content that the podcasting world needs.
Maybe it is. Maybe this is my niche. This is what I need.
There you go.
Better than having my washing stat behind me anyway. Um, but I do think like we try and be perfect, and actually like there's something nice in not being perfect and being
Yeah,
more
of course.
human.
Yeah, yeah. Going back to that Discord as well, like I battled with launching that for about 2 months. I was like, should I do it? And then I was like, oh no, what if everyone thinks it's stupid, or what if no one joins? I'm just sat in there on my own. And I battled for ages with like self-doubt, and then I put it out, and then people joined, and I was like, oh well, I didn't have anything to worry about. Like, I don't know, it's just pointless worrying about things, isn't it? Like, you might as well just do it.
Yeah, because time's going to pass anyway.
Of course, yeah.
So you may as well at least try in the time, and then by the end of where you think you're going to be, saying like 10 years, you might even be further like ahead than what you thought. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Like, especially because you kind of think like, oh, are people going to think that I'm stupid? Or like you say, like, is this going to come across well? Like, intrusive thoughts, isn't it?
Yeah, but I also always think like, if you think it's a good idea and you think that you join it or you like this content, there's going to be other people that are thinking the same way as you. So I don't know why we always like doubt ourselves, like we're the only person thinking this or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm the same about starting this. I was like basically having conversations like this on set with people and finding out how they got to where they are and everything else. And I was like, surely I'm not the only one who A, has these conversations with people, and B, enjoys having these conversations.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I started to record it, people are like, oh yeah, I love listening to how people have got into their roles, or maybe it's somebody who's just starting out, or somebody who's been going a long time and got ideas from people. And that's what it's nice to share your ideas. And as creatives, we bounce off each other, don't we?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And it's just really good hearing other people's like how other people work, because then that's how you learn how to like make yourself more efficient, or you might find a new idea coming up, bouncing off their idea or whatever. So yeah, stuff like this is really, really good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have a look at your Discord in my couple of days off, because I feel like I need to get in there. Although you'll be like, oh my God, Charlotte, we are muting you. You are too annoying. You're talking too much.
No, I reckon there's people in there that'll come on this podcast, I reckon. So like it'll be a good pool of people to get on here.
Oh, that's interesting. I like
that. There's gonna be people on there surely that'll come on this, I reckon.
Yeah, I think, do you know what? I'm now reaching people like yourself who I've met via other people or via my social media and stuff. And my network is creeping out like a spider web. And it's just insane how people know each other. And, we're such a small industry, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, yeah. And it's just good having those connections, because it's like when work, in regards to work, isn't it? Like as soon as you've got them connections, then more work starts to come in. It's just a good thing to have, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Have you found Discord has helped with your work as well?
Not yet. We do have like an area where, so like I come across a job on LinkedIn and I think, oh, that'll be good for someone in there. We'll post it in there. So people do share and stuff, but I don't know how to make it. I would love to make it like a hub where instead of relying on LinkedIn, we could get work from in there, but I'm not sure how to do it yet. Like maybe we could like talk with agencies and stuff, but then do I want to deal with them? Like, are they trustworthy and stuff? Like, so it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. It's almost like worth adding in like business owners who have like started from the ground. So like, you know, they might, or their studio managers might want to pop in, like, or producers.
That'd be a good idea, yeah.
You know.
I know we've got a photographer in there who is from America, and he's been saying like he's got a few people on his list now if he ever needs any retouching done and things like that. So that's cool. But yeah, I don't know how to get like the more people in there, I suppose, the more work's going to be available, because like instead of going to LinkedIn and having to post, you can just come into the Discord and say, oh, I've done a shoot today, I need a retoucher, is anyone here available? And then there's like a pool of people in there. And I've got it set up so where you can only just tag the retouchers, so only like retouchers get pinged about jobs and stuff. So it's good like that.
That's cool. That's cool. It like separates it out, because then you're not like fighting through loads of like comments and stuff. Yeah, that's quite cool.
It's as well. It's not pinging everyone, because like they might see like, oh, the work's come up, and then that's no use to like a stylist or a copywriter or whatever. So they don't get pinged then. So it's a good like little feature that I've built in there.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. I'm really, and you've piqued my interest with it, because I do think it's something that could be really useful for a lot of people. Yeah.
And the best thing, like, because I work from home and stuff, I'll just chuck it on my second monitor then, and then, you know, if it's pinging, you can like kind of keep an eye on it, and if you want to jump in, you can. And that's a bit better than like rather than your phone pinging, you have to open the app all the time, blah blah blah. But it is good that you can either have it on desktop or mobile or whatever.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have a look.
Getting there. Yeah.
So, going back to your work? What's your favourite? I'll ask this in two parts actually. What's been your favourite shoot to retouch work-wise?
I think it might be. There's two. I've recently started working with a home furniture brand. So it's like room set retouching and stuff, and room set photography. And that's like kind of new to me. And the guy just like kind of took a chance on me. I just messaged him on LinkedIn saying, have you got any work? And he was like, yeah, actually. But I didn't have any room set in my portfolio at the time. So it was good that he took a chance on me. And that's been interesting. That's because it's a little bit more involved in like your model retouching and things. So that's been really like interesting learning and things. And then I used to do a lot of work with a like lingerie company, and the photography was like really, really nice. It was like really on point. So that was good to work on, because that like built my portfolio quite a lot at the time as well. So I think it'd be them two.
Nice.
That stick out the most.
Nice. I think as well, when the photography's there, especially with like lingerie stuff, it just makes it, because it can swing one of two ways. And, you know, it depends on a lot of factors, but if the photography's nice, you can get some really good like lingerie stuff.
Yeah, the photography was really nice. Like, and then they just went to these like amazing like houses and locations and stuff, and it was really, really, it was like high budget stuff. Like, it was really nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So my second part to that question is, what's your favourite thing to photograph personally? I know you do a lot of like outdoorsy stuff, but what's your fave?
That's a tricky one. It probably is like landscapes, to be fair. It's either landscapes, or I don't have that much of this on my Instagram anymore, but I used to photograph cars a lot as well. I used to go to like car shows and things and like just do events. And I've kind of dropped off now, but I kind of want to bring it back again this year. But I love doing that as well.
Oh, nice.
So it's between them two. I think landscape would pip it, to be fair, just because you're doing the photography, but you also get to go out and like enjoy the outdoors and stuff. But yeah, car photography is a close second.
So off that, what's your favourite car?
Oh, I don't know. That's a tricky one. I like stupid cars. Like, people always go for like high end stuff, and I'll just pick like a crappy little Mazda, like MX-5 or whatever. But I'm not sure what my favourite car would be, to be fair. I'd have to get back to you on that one. I can't think right now off the top of my head what my favourite car would be. Instead of van.
Mine, definitely, I really wanted like a Mark 1 or 2 Golf.
I've had a Mark 2 Golf.
Have you?
Yeah. I love that car. And then me and my dad decided it would be a fun idea to do an engine swap in it. Swap the engine, realised the gearbox didn't work, had to put the old engine back in. I drove down the road. It basically blew up and sat on fire. And that was the scariest moment of my life.
Oh my God.
I had to like pull over really quickly. Like, luckily my dad was just up the street. I had to shout him. He had a like fire extinguisher in his van, and like luckily it wasn't that bad. But yeah, that was scary.
Oh my God. That's so bad.
I know. I don't like, because I just used to tinker with cars like so much back then, but we never figured out why it like set on fire, because we put it all back together like fine. It must have just been like a little bit of loose fuel or something in an electric spark, but my life flashed before me. But yeah, I've had a Mark 2 Golf. I've had a Mark 1 convertible Golf.
Oh no.
I think I've had like 15 cars since I've been driving. I used to change my car like every 6 months because I'd just get bored. I'd be like, oh, I want to swap it for something else.
Yeah. I had a GTI Polo when I was like 21, 22. I can't remember what. It was a 56 plate. So what's that, like Mark 5 maybe? Mark 6 maybe?
Was that the one where it had the twin round headlights? Yeah. Or was it the model after that?
Model after.
Okay.
Yeah, loved that car to pieces. And then I was living in Cambridge at the time, and some dickheads parked a car next to my car, set the other car on fire. I then saw that there was a car on fire next to mine. If I could go back to 22-year-old Charlotte, I would tell her not to do this. But I got in my car and moved it as it was melting, right? And the fire brigade came just as I got out of my car, and he looked at me and he gave me such a dressing down. He was like, you should not have been in that car. It could have exploded, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but she's my baby, no. And like, I've only had 2 cars after that, and like, they've never been the same as that car. Like,
no.
Never been as good.
I've never found anything. The Mark II Golf was such a good experience because everyone had like some sort of story behind it. Like either the dads had it or like they had it when they was younger and stuff. And every time I'd go into the petrol station, you end up chatting with someone. It was such a cool experience. Like, so I do miss that. I don't think I'd like driving it now because it was a pain. Like, but yeah, I do miss it sometimes.
Yeah, I'm the same. And my other half had some like in his 20s, he had like a Subaru Impreza. He's had like a Focus RS, which was absolutely mint to drive. Loved that. And that was always great when people thought it was a bloke driving, and then they'd look over and it was me, and I'd be like waving away like, hiya.
I've always wanted one of them. Which model was it? One of the earlier gens?
I feel like it was around 2000. I'm going to get this wrong. 2010-ish.
Oh, okay, yeah. My old next door neighbour used to have one of them.
Yeah,
really nice car.
It was so nice, but it like again, the only reason we ever got rid of a car is that when they start costing too much money, like maintenance and stuff. And like, to be fair, he had a van for work, so having the RS just sat on the drive all the time. It needed a bit of running, but not as much running as I was doing to and from work.
I think one of the best cars I've owned, and I'd definitely recommend anyone getting one, the Abarth 500.
Oh, yeah, they're good fun.
Stupid cars, them.
Yeah.
They're just so silly. You sit really high up in it. It's got a big steering wheel. It's tiny. And it's just so much fun. They're so loud as well. Like it's just stupid.
Yeah, they're dead funny. Like me and my dad, this is like years ago. Oh my God, almost 20 years ago. Me and my dad did the Cannonball Run. Have you ever heard?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so he had like an S5 at the time. And this is, like I say, a long time ago. And there was a Fiat 500 Abarth on there. And the whole point with the Cannonball Run is you've got to have the closest to 50 mile an hour like average, and you win.
Right. Okay.
So it's not about getting anywhere fast or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the Fiat 500 like won. And there was like some stupid cars there, like fucking ridiculous cars. Someone even drove like a lorry dovetail, so like without the trailer on it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like some mental cars. And the thing that won was the Fiat 500. And it's like, of course it did, because it's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, they're just such a hoot. Like every time I drove that, I just had a smile on my face because it's just hilarious.
Yeah. I had definitely had one when like as a hire car, and it wasn't the Abarth, it was like a Fiat 500. And then my other half, 6'3", and he like struggled. There was like the seat did not go back far enough.
They're just such a weird, like the seating position's so weird in them. It's like you're almost driving a truck, like the way they've got it. Like you sit above the steering wheel a little bit. It's super weird.
Yeah.
Then the steering wheel's massive.
Yeah. They're dead fun if you're only doing little bits of commuting, they're fine. But like me, I mean, I'm even debating getting a van because my car just isn't big enough to fit all the props I need in there.
What you need is a van that you can take this camper van out of when you need it as a van, and then put the camper van back in when you need it.
Exactly. Where's the like removable takeaway camper van kits? That's what we need. We've just invented it.
There's a market there.
A very niche market, but it is there.
To be fair, like there's been times where I've seen some on Facebook Marketplace, or my partner's seen some on Facebook Marketplace, and we've like wanted to take everything out of my van so we can go and pick it up, but it's just not plausible.
It's always the way.
It is annoying. Like you've got a van and it has got so much space, but we can't like fit a table in there now or anything. So
yeah, you need like a roof rack, don't you now?
Yeah.
Or a tow bar. Oh, that was good car chat. I haven't chatted cars for ages.
I know that went on a wild tangent. I didn't think we'd be speaking of that.
This is what happens on here, you know. We end up chatting about all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
So I have got a final question for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
What inspires you?
I'd say mostly other people, seeing other people's work, and then sometimes I just like have random ideas myself and inspire myself, or like maybe I've subconsciously seen it somewhere else and like I've took it from there. But I'd say just watching like mainly a lot of YouTube. Like I'll always have YouTube on my side monitor when I'm working and stuff, and I just get a lot of inspiration from that, like from other photographers or things, or other filmmakers and stuff like that.
That's such a nice answer. I thought, because I think it's such an interesting question, because everybody has got a different view on what inspires them, and a lot of people say it's the people around them, or bouncing ideas, or getting outside, or you know. And I think as creatives, we being visual people, we've got like so much that we draw inspiration from, and it's so nice to hear like everybody's answer. Yeah.
I just love if I see like a really well shot video, I'm like, oh, I want to be able to do that. Like, so I'm starting to teach myself like video in the background. I think I started like last year at some point, and I'm slowly trying to build that up. Or like if I see like really amazing like landscape photography or street photography, I'm like, well, I want to go somewhere and try and like replicate that sort of thing, but put my own style on it and stuff. So yeah, I'd say it's that what inspires me.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, it's nice when you see people expanding their skills, especially like into video and stuff. I feel like video content's like quite big now, and
yeah, it is. Yeah,
there's some stuff that's like easy to do, like TikTok, easy. I mean, I balanced my phone inside the NutriBullet the other day to get it to stand up. But then there's other people who are filming stuff, and it's like really well edited, like you say, and it's shot really nice, and like that's the stuff like I want to get inside their brain and be like, how have you figured this out?
Like that's what I've started doing, like doing the reels and the TikToks and stuff. And even that, when I first started out, I was like, what? I don't understand any of this. Like, and like trying to like teach myself like the video editing side and like in Premiere or DaVinci Resolve and stuff, it's like I'm starting again, which I love. Like, so I've got like a big like drive to learn that at the moment because it feels like I'm starting again.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm just trying everything, and it just feels really good.
It almost like scratches an itch inside your brain, doesn't it? To try something new, and you're like,
yeah,
oh yes, I can like figure it out, and like it's that. I always think like as creatives, I kind of think outside the box, and it's nice to get a challenge and be like, right, how do I figure this out? That's maybe different to this person who's showing me how to do it, but like, is there another way? Is there something different?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
It is, yeah. And then like basically all the stuff I've been doing is like just on my phone, so it's like a bit easier. But I'm slowly starting to try and use my proper camera and like figuring all the video and settings out with that, and figuring out how to shoot log and how to color grade it. And I'm just like, this is all like crazy. So hopefully, I'm hoping this year that because I do want to transition my work into like video editing as well.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, like I can try and get some of that later this year.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I think maybe last year I was thinking like I need a secondary income or a secondary line of work or something, just in case that if retouching's quiet, I can go and do this, hopefully, or whatever. And then probably another conversation for another time, but I think AI scares me a little bit for my job.
Yeah. I think like AI's a very big unknown, and I think there's some things it's going to be great for and it's going to assist us in many ways.
Yeah.
But I think it has put the fear of God up quite a lot of people's asses. And
yeah, I think that's why I worried so much last year, because I went quiet, and I think it was early last year when the AI boom started happening, like Photoshop and stuff, and they were like the generative fill started getting announced, and like they were doing all these other weird like AI editing tools, and I was like, this could easily come after my job in like with how fast it's progressing. Like it's going to be interesting to see where we are in like just a year or 2 years time. But I will say right now, it's so useful in my work.
yeah,
Like, I use it quite a lot now. Like the generative fill, I was using it today. I was editing some ecom, and this model had they wanted me to like fill in the space in a part, and like there was a big gap in between a hair. I literally just drew a box around it and said fill in this gap, and it just boom, put some hair in it. You could not tell. I was like, that saved me about 2 or 3 minutes.
Wow.
It's so good. But then other times you'll tell it to do something and it just doesn't understand and totally messes up. So it's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
I was editing like a vase or something for a company, and they wanted it cut out on a white background, and they wanted like a little shadow in there, and I just literally said add a shadow to this, and it added a handle that looked like a seahorse. I was like, right, okay.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I think it is like, it's one of those the more data we feed into it, the better it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a huge unknown, and I think it is affecting creative industries, and I think creative industries thought that we were a bit shielded from it, and actually, you know, I think people thought like, well, it's fine to automate stuff in factories, or other things need to be automated, and they were like, nobody will take the creativity away. And it's like, but they've started to like write books and shit, and you're like, what?
It's mad, isn't it? Like
It's
I've seen there's like stuff that can create video now. Like it just creates short form like content, and it's like, how?
Yeah,
it's mad. But I don't know if you're seeing it, but I'm seeing I think there's a lot of pushback on it. And I think it might be like how retouching was a few years ago, where there's like, I think there was a lot of, I think retouching at a stage where it was like really heavy and like everyone just looked fake, and everyone pushed back on it. And now it's very natural.
Yeah.
And you can't really tell that stuff has been retouched. And maybe I'll go into that category as well, where like there's a lot of pushback, it scales back a little bit, and it just becomes a tool for people like creatives who can use it and utilize it and stuff. Yeah,
I think I agree with you. I remember the days where stuff was heavily retouched, and it was like weird. If you look back at it now, you're like, wow, that model did not need that much retouching.
No.
But I do think you're right. It might be one of those, like, become a really useful tool. I mean, it is also, AI is also nice to teach people stuff, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
there's some kind of videos on YouTube, especially, like, say you're doing a video on Cambridge, and
Yeah.
you might like search it, and there might be like 10 AI videos that come up just with like stock pictures and like a very automated voice. But I think it's for us who know what we're looking out for, it's probably easier than, say, like my mum and dad or different generations who are just like, well, that must be the truth because it's on the internet. And
I think at the moment as well, it does still need that creative input. Where if it's like retouching it, sometimes you have to tidy it up, or if it's like writing, I think it still needs that personal touch in there.
Yeah,
because I use ChatGPT like all the time to write stuff. I'm just lazy and I can't write. But I always feel like you always have to add like little personal touches in there, or else it sounds a bit robotic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it still needs that creative touch at the moment.
Yeah.
So hopefully it stays there and we don't all end up jobless.
But in a way, if like I'm chatting about like in a long time, maybe if there's like universal basic income and there's like AI doing everything, and then we get to actually be creative, like paint and like do all these nice creative things and live a nice like chilled life, and there's a computer doing everything for me, I'm there for it. I'm here for it. I'll retire at 45 if that's what what'll happen.
I'll retire now if it wants to take my job. As long as they pay me.
Yeah, go for it. I am cool. I'll go sit on a beach somewhere.
Oh, it's scary though, because like literally that could happen in like 5 years.
Yeah.
Like with how fast it progresses, I feel like there's something new coming out like every week.
Yeah. I have to say I like stopped looking about it because a friend of mine, I actually did an episode with her like a few months back about AI, and she comes from like a law background as well, and she was like, it's fucking scary, and she was telling me stuff, and I was like, I need to stop looking into it because it's just too like scary for me right now.
Yeah, it's mad to think like what's probably going on behind closed doors and how much further they are compared to what they're showing us.
Yeah.
Like on my phone, I've got like the Google Pixel, and I don't know if you've seen the adverts now. If you take a group shot and you take like a burst, it literally gives you suggestions to do face swap, and you just press a button and it just face swaps now.
Yeah.
And it just can do sky replacements with just press a button, and I'm like, that's what I don't like when everyone has access to it.
Yeah.
What does social media look like? Like, are people just going to just... Because it's already quite fake on there anyway, isn't it? Like, everyone edits the photos and stuff. But if you've got access to just be able to, like... You can, like, draw around someone and move them or enlarge them and all sorts of crazy shit just by pressing a button. And it's just like, that's scary. Like, what normal people might do with that on their social medias and stuff.
Yeah, but also I think going back to pushback, I feel like a lot of people are becoming more themselves on social media and not using as many filters and stuff. So I wonder actually whether it might be that like only a certain amount of people will be using it. However, something that has just cropped into my head, I saw a influencer was chatting about this other influencer online on Instagram. Turns out this other influencer is completely AI. So someone's making money out of a completely fake influencer. Yeah. And I was like, do I find this scary or really fucking clever? I couldn't.
That is clever. Like, but I suppose it's clever because they're the only one doing it. If Instagram was full of that, you'd just be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just mad. It's mad to think how it's going to change and how much it has changed from like when we were kids on like MySpace or, Face Party, I think I even had.
I was literally thinking about this yesterday. Like, our generation, like, as we grew up, I feel like we had the best time because we've seen like so much like develop in like tech and stuff. And like, plus when you look back at like our old photos, because they're like done on film or really crappy digital cameras, it's got a bit more personality to it.
Yeah.
Whereas like now, like photos are not going to get much better now. They're already at like the peak, aren't they really? Like, and if you look back on them in like 30 years time, it's not really gonna look that different, I suppose.
No, I agree with you. And I think I love the texture and the kind of feel of a film camera. And
Yeah.
I remember dial-up internet. I'm really showing my age.
Oh yeah, the sound of that.
Oh, I could probably mimic it really badly, but and it'd be like, get off the internet, someone's trying to call me.
I remember one of my friends in high school came in with his first ever camera phone, and it was this little Nokia, and you had to plug the camera in on a lead, and it was like a 2-meter lead, and it had a camera at the end of it, and everyone was like, "Whoa, this is insane!" And we were all like, "That's the peak."
It's so funny. On nights out, we used to take little, what were they called? Little digital cameras. Didn't have a screen on the back. You still had to look through the pictures, and then everyone would post every single picture up and tag everybody. The pictures would be fucking awful. And then you'd be like, oh my God, look at all these pictures of us pissed and we're in this club. And they were just I'm so glad that I deleted that version of Facebook, because no one needs to see that. Jesus wept. So bad. But now you take your phone and you're like, boom, 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 quick, drop it in your pocket.
Yeah, and it just comes out perfect. It's the phones are so crazy, you can't even tell whether it's most of the time you can't tell whether it was done on a proper camera or not.
Yeah.
It's crazy where they are now.
Yeah.
I'm so glad, speaking about my older photos from before, I've still got all my original photos that I took when I was younger, and just looking back at them now, I'm like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, yeah.
I used to watermark everything. I went through a stage of just putting we had a rabbit at the time, take a picture of my rabbit, watermark it, stick it on Facebook, and I'm like, why is someone going to steal that? But I just went through this phase. I think because back then, photographers were you need to watermark your work, and I was like, oh my God, I need to watermark everything because everyone's going to steal my images.
That's so funny. And now we just whack stuff on social media, and without a watermark, no one really use, somebody might be mimicking you or whatever. It's just mad, isn't it?
Think. My friend, he does a lot of traveling work and stuff, and he's got quite a big Instagram now, and he always has people who steal his photos and his videos, make a new account and pretend to be him.
Oh,
and I just find that so weird.
That's really weird.
Yeah, it's super strange. I don't get why. I just don't get it.
Yeah, what are they gaining from that? I don't understand.
I don't know. Unless people think because they'll see the photo in the Discover feed, they think it's him and then follow it or something. I don't know, but it's super strange. But it happens a lot.
Yeah. I think before Instagram brought in this pay for verification thing, as that started, people who weren't paying for verification but using Instagram as their main income were getting there was a lot of hacks. A lot of people this person's lost their account, and that's just a bit snide, isn't it?
I've seen stories where they get in touch with Instagram as well, literally prove that they're the right person, and Instagram still says, oh no, that's not enough evidence. And it's just what?
Yeah. Re-employ people Instagram and actually look at this.
Yeah. I've started to get a bit bored of Instagram. I did a post about it today, actually. I went through 2 years of trying to post consistently 3 times a week, trying to grow, get growth and stuff. And I'm just why? I'm causing myself anxiety when I don't have anything to post on those days that I've set for myself. So I've just decided, I'm taking a step back from it this year. I'll just post when I've got stuff that I want to post, but other than that, I'm not going to chase an algorithm and stuff.
Yeah.
Because so many people now are just saying there's just no growth there.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like for your accounts and stuff. Do you find there's a lot of growth there, or? Not
massively. I mean, I've never hit 1,000 or anything like that. And I think the podcast one is under 250. But also, I don't necessarily want the extra anxiety that comes with an account that's got 100K.
I get that.
I'm in touch and connected to the people who can, on my work one anyway, who who can book me, or like I've had a
Yeah.
couple of people actually like book me because of some hashtags I put on my work, and
Yeah.
like, but I don't get loads from it. So similarly to you, like I'll sit and schedule posts, and then I'm like, cool, leave it.
Yeah.
But it's just to kind of like maintain my brand. But also I'm kind of
Yeah.
with you, like before I'd just like post up whenever I had stuff.
Yeah.
There's like finding that happy medium, I think, like of keeping people updated with your work and like your availability and things. But
Yeah.
not everyone can be an influencer. And I think like
No.
it's become such a huge thing over the last like 10 years to be an influencer, and you've got to have like show all your life and everything else. And
Yeah.
not everybody needs to see what you've eaten for your dinner, or like, and
Yeah.
sometimes I find myself like checking myself, and I'm like, Charlotte, people do not need to know that. So why the fuck have you put it up? Like, just delete it. No one cares.
I think that as well.
But then also on the same side of like no one caring, you're like, actually, like some people might find this funny or whatever,
Yeah.
So I think there is a balance to be had there. And I think like if you're using it as a free marketing tool, which is what it is, then yeah. But I definitely went through a phase where like I was following lots of people, and all of a sudden there was like 10,000 influencers on my page, and I was like, I don't care that you're all selling the same fucking pair of trousers.
Yeah.
Like, go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's like following who you inspires you, really, isn't it? And like,
Yeah, I'm like that. Like I try and keep like the people I follow quite low, and then every now and then I'll just go through it, maybe get rid of people who are not like connecting with me anymore and stuff. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Like, there's just this. I feel like people get anxiety about like all constantly having to post and stuff, and it's probably because of the algorithm and what people are saying about it and stuff. Like, you need to keep posting to keep yourself relevant and stuff. But I've always found that I've never really used it for my business, to be honest. Like, I think I got 1 or 2 gigs from it, but only through following the certain photographer, and they've put it in the stories asking for stuff. It's useful for that. But like, I started a retouching account like maybe 3 years ago, and it was just pointless. I was just putting all this effort in to put all this retouching content out there, and no one was bothered. And I was just like, sod it. I'm just not going to do this then.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like, especially when you're self-employed, you've only got so many hours in the day. So you have to like be conscious of where you're putting your time. And I think that's why I schedule my stuff out and just do it that way, because then I'm trying to cut down on my social media use anyway, and B, I've sat there for 2 hours whilst my husband's at work, done it, sorted, haven't got to think about it, and can just drop in and engage as and when I see fit. So I think it is like, there's definitely a balance to be had, because it is such a good free marketing tool, but you can get lost with the algorithms and stuff. And like, do you know what? Fuck it. Like, I just think now I'm like, fuck it. I'll put whatever I want on, and that I'll reach the right people, because they'll be in the same mindset as me. And
of course,
it's kind of chasing the dragon, isn't it? If you're constantly like chasing for, don't get me wrong, I think influencers, there's a space for them, but I don't think it's for me.
Yeah. And I just think like over the past maybe year or so as well, like my engagement, even though I've not changed what I was doing over the time, like my engagement is just slowly getting worse and worse. I think they're just trying to push people to sponsored posts now and stuff like that, because they just want like that like subscription type of model, don't they? I think.
Yeah. I
wouldn't be surprised if they do some sort of subscription model soon.
I feel like I've seen a few big, no, I wouldn't call them influencers, because one of them's like Paul Roscoe, who is like an Amazon. He's a guy who goes and does stuff in the Amazon, and he's got you can subscribe to his channel.
You can do that now. But so like, there's, I don't know if you need a certain amount of followers or whatever, but you can do a subscription model for you where only certain posts are shown to people who subscribe.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a bit like, I guess YouTube has something like that as well, I think, where there's only certain videos you can see if you pay membership or whatever. But yeah, they've done that with creators now on Instagram.
Ugh.
But I think as well, the blue tick is a subscription model as well now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I feel like people pay like £6 a month or something for it.
Yeah, and it's just you get the blue tick and it's a supposedly enhanced customer service,
and
that's it.
Better security in air quotes.
Yeah, and then you still get hacked.
Yeah, I don't. Given that I've grown up with technology and social media exploding, I feel like I should understand it more, but I really don't. And I'm kind of fine with that.
Yeah, I'm getting that way as well. And like, there's just too much to follow now.
Yeah.
But I do reckon like there'll be some sort of like, I don't know what they'll do, but maybe they'll be like, oh, a subscription, you don't see ads and then your posts get boosted or something with Instagram or something like that.
Yeah.
But I can see them doing it soon because literally everything's going to subscription model now, isn't it? So
yeah,
I can see them doing it soon.
It's a shame, really.
It is, yeah.
But then, like, that might open the market for something else.
I've been waiting for something else for so long. Nothing comes. Threads is all right, but then obviously it's owned by the same company.
Wasn't there one like years ago, and I'm talking like maybe like 7 or 8 years ago, that was trying to be a bit like Instagram? I can't remember what it was called. What
was it called? Vero.
Yeah, Vero or something like that.
So that popped up like you say 8 years ago, and then maybe a year or so, maybe last year or the year before, it popped up again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it took off, and like I remember making an account for it, and like loads of people went there, and like big creators went there and stuff. And I think it was relevant for like 2 weeks, and then I deleted my account, and then I've not heard anything again since.
Oh, that's a shame. Maybe it's because like, Instagram's so ingrained in us now that like it's difficult to change.
It's just hard to compete with it because it does everything, doesn't it? And now they've got Threads as well, which is like the text-based one, which gets rid of Twitter.
Yeah,
it is mad. Like, but I don't know. Threads is all right. Like, it's people seem to engage more on there and stuff. Because Twitter's a dumpster fire these days. I deleted my account on there. I'm just not supporting that anymore.
I think that the last time I posted on there was 2012 on Twitter.
Wow.
And I'm not going to tell anyone the handle or anything like that because the picture that's on there is weird. And I think I'm in some sort of like crown or something, like some tiara from work. But like it seemed like a absolute dumpster fire. Although Threads seems nicer, and I'm finding a lot of like photographers and like from all over the world, and like inspiration from lots of different people on there. It seems a friendlier place. Yeah,
and I think it's definitely mainly creatives that are on there. Like, unless that's just because of our algorithms that it's trained to that, but you do see a lot of creative people on there. So it does seem good for that.
Yeah. But the same as you, like, I don't go on it that often. I'm like, oh, no. Cool, I forgot about that.
Just post and forget.
Yeah, that's it. But like, similarly, I'm not on Facebook really much anymore. Like,
no, I don't have like a proper Facebook account. I literally have like just this Facebook account for Marketplace. Like, no one's connected with me on there, and that's all it's for.
That's good. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because Marketplace, you find some absolute bangers in there.
But I also find it so scary. Like, if we were selling some stuff recently, and everything just felt like a scam, and I was like, who the hell is going to turn up at my house? I feel like I'm going to get murdered for like a £10 coffee table or whatever.
I definitely saw a meme recently, or it must have been TikTok or something, where there's this guy stood with like a package in a car park, and he's he's like looking side to side, and he's like, I hope I don't get murdered for giving this Facebook Marketplace stickers worth £5 to someone.
Like, it's good for bargains, but at the same time you're just like, who am I going picking this up off? Am I just going to get stolen here? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's so funny. I think like it's definitely like handy though, but yeah, I feel the same.
It's like no regulation on there, is there?
No, fuck no. I think I once had somebody turn up in a taxi to take a bookcase home.
Wow. What?
Oh, good old Manchester. On that note, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I've really
Thank you
enjoyed
for having me. It's been a good chat.
I
feel like we went on so many different tangents there.
Oh yeah, massively. That is the whole part of it. Like, I think it's so good to go on different tangents and just explore, explore our creative minds together.
Yeah.
So,
it's been good.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please rate, follow and share, as it really helps this little podcast out. And if you have found value in the podcast and you have the means to, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. This will help keep the podcast going. Join me next week for another fantastic guest. Bye!